we are coming from the 844 system. I know right now we have CBC, but for us, 844 system whereby we were taught the right way to do things. There was always the right and the wrong way to do things. And then life comes and shows you things. You're realizing that life is not what you envisioned it to be. You feel like once you're done, you're going to get a very good job and earn very good income and become wealthy and you live happily ever after. And this life shows you people. These are things that happen when we are living this life. And when it happens, our lives literally stops. Other people's lives are continuing, but yours has stopped. And you know what we call that? Trauma.
You're watching unpack podcast, where families get restored, transformed, and healed. 'Cause he never ever lose a battle. He never ever lose a battle. God never ever lose a battle. He never ever lose a battle. You're watching unpack podcast, where families get restored, transformed, and healed.
What's up, my people? Happy New Year. I hope your year has started on a high. My name is Masin Zuki, and you're watching the Mind Pursuit podcast. And if you're hearing or watching this podcast for the first time, Mind Pursuit podcast is about mental health and well-being of every individual, yeah? And because all of us are coming from a family unit, I know you've had the new jingle, yeah? And it has a lot of family in it. Because all of us belong to a family, yeah? You either are with your nuclear family, and your nuclear family is relative. It could be you, your spouse, and your children. It could be you and your parents. It could be you and your grandparents. So all of us belong in a family unit. So this podcast is about you, and you. So remember to subscribe, tell a friend to tell a friend, and like the podcast. So welcome to an exclusive episode with me, Mercy, the Mind Advocate. And here you get to learn more about who I am and what I do. And also I know you'll get to know more about mental health and well-being through the questions that you begin to share or ask so that we can be able to respond to you. So I am really ready for some of the questions that will help me to sort of drive this conversation. And I hope that you're going to learn together with me and even get to learn more about who I am as Mercy. So karibu, welcome.
Looking back at last year, what moments on the podcast were most impactful?
Oh, wow. First of all, starting off the show with my sister on the podcast, like her highlighting her journey as an entrepreneur. So if you're yet to hear about that, I will want you to just go scroll and get to learn more about that. So that was a highlight for me because there's one thing that she said that stayed with me. People are doors. So you need to ensure that you network with people because what you want, imagine there's somebody already who has access to what you desire to have. So yes, people are doors. That's one thing that has stayed with me. And it works.
Nice. So, what have you learned from your audience that's shaping this year's direction?
Oh, wow. One thing I've learned, and thank you so much before even I respond to what I've learned. Thank you so much for tuning in the Mind Pursuit podcast. I see we have so many people who are between the ages of 24 to 35 years who are watching this podcast. And that is actually the caveat that I am also in as the Mind Advocate. So one of the things that I have learned is the struggles that people between that age cohort go through, including myself. Like unemployment is real, looking for money everywhere, trying to keep up with the Joneses, just to name a few. So those are some of the struggles that I've had from you as the viewers, pointing out that these are struggles that actually contribute to mental illness. Yani inakupatia stress vibaya sana. Yani unashangaa sasa tutafanya aje, tutaenda aje.
How do you want listeners to feel after each episode this year?
Oh, I just want you to feel replenished. I want you to feel engaged. I want you to feel challenged so that you can push yourself to become comfortable with the uncomfortable. So that's all I want from you. Like when you come to this podcast, when you're struggling to navigate between career path, when you're struggling with the daily stressors of life, like we all face. So at the end of the day, when you come and just watch, I want you to begin to understand how do you better cope with mental health struggles that affect literally all of us. Yeah.
Amazing. Can you give us just a hint on the new sections or formats that are coming that listeners can look forward to?
Oh, yeah. Oh, this year we have a lot in store for you as our listeners. We've had, and I thank God for the people who have reached out to me, and they are like, even yesterday, there's a good friend of mine who reached out to me who is between that age cohort. And she was telling me, Mercy, you need to talk about the way young people are struggling with unemployment. So shout out to you. I know you're watching. So yeah, so one thing that I can give is you're going to learn more about family dynamics. How do you navigate through that? You're going to learn more about mentorship. How do you identify a mentor? How do you identify a mentee? What does it mean? Even when it comes to the biblical perspective of it, how do you navigate supporting your mentee when you're also equally trying to navigate life? Because that in itself, there are stresses that comes with life. So as you support your mentee, as you get insight from your mentor, maybe what worked for your mentor may not necessarily work for you in this time and season. But then how do you navigate better during that particular time? We are going to have expert panel. We're going to have therapists, psychologists coming to talk to us about various aspects of life, starting with drugs and substance use, because I've realized one of the challenges that we experience, especially the young people, is navigating or struggling with drugs and substance use. So that's one of the topics that we are going to tackle this particular year.
Amazing. So there was this specific segment called the Jesus Whisper moment. How will it continue to shape the storytelling and the takeaways?
Oh wow! If you're hearing about the Jesus Whisper moment for the first time, it's a section within the podcast where we talk about what is it that God has been talking to us about. Like we get to learn that, and I say we because I always have guests. Yeah, this year we've introduced the Mind Advocates Corner, where I'm alone, but we always have guests. So one of the things about the Jesus Whisper moment is we have to understand where are each individuals at in terms of even their personal relationship with Christ, because we are all about Jesus in this podcast.
You're watching Mind Password Podcast.
You've mentioned the Mind Advocate Corner. What inspired it?
Oh, actually, what inspired the Mind Advocates Corner was I noticed even as I go for engagements to talk to people, they ask me questions around mental health and well-being. And some have watched my podcast and they inbox and ask me questions about how can they be able to navigate mental illness or mental struggles. So that is one of the things that actually inspired me to have the solo episode that I call it the Mind Advocates Corner, so that I get to also elaborate further about what are the telltale signs for you to know that you're actually experiencing mental wellness, and what are the telltale signs for you to also understand that you're actually maybe navigating mental health challenges. So that is what actually inspired, and also some stories here and there, real life stories about what people are actually experiencing out here, so that you can be able to normalize mental health conversations. You don't feel like you're alone, like if you're going through stress, like you're going through stress alone in this world, or if you're going through, drugs and substance use, you're really struggling with alcoholism, you don't know how to stop. You don't feel alone. That's why this segment is here, so that you can be able to share some of the stories, some of the experiences that I've had with my client, of course, upholding confidentiality.
How will you explore mental health myths versus facts in ways listeners haven't experienced before?
There are a lot of myths and facts around mental health and well-being. So we are going to, this year, unlike the previous year, we're going to have like random people coming in and just telling us what is that one myth and one fact that they know about mental health. And these are the uncommon ones, yeah? Because I feel like we have moved from thinking about mental illness as somebody mtu mwenye amechizi, quote unquote, yeah? So we are coming, what are these unconventional things that we'll want you to first think about and see, is that really a myth or a fact? Like it confuses us. So that is one of the things that we are going to share exclusively on the Mind Advocates Corner.
How do you plan to make the episodes more interactive or reflective without giving everything away?
We are going to have games in this section. We are going to have rapid fires in these sections. We are going to have other activities that I don't want to give us like, everything. But those are some of the things that sort of to help us break the stigma associated with mental health and well-being.
I know you've mentioned some of the questions or themes that you're going to tackle, but I want you to also mention other big themes that you're going to explore this year in the podcast.
Ooh, one big thing we are going to explore is called When Life Stops. And I'm just taking a pause there because some of us, people are living life, but to some of us, our lives have literally stopped. Imagine if you lose a loved one to death, if you lose a loved one to divorce, your life has literally stopped because no one who gets married envisions to get divorced. No one envisions their spouse or their family member or their loved one to die. No one envisions to be diagnosed with a terminal illness. These are things that happen when we are living this life. And when it happens, our lives literally stops. Other people's lives are continuing, but yours has stopped. And you know what we call that? Trauma. And trauma in layman is this mental and emotional response to a challenging situation. So at the end of the day, even when you get an accident, your life has literally stopped. And to put context to this is when you get an accident and lose your hand or lose your leg, lose a part of your body, your life has literally stopped. So we are going to explore a lot around that as well.
Okay, you've mentioned that the age cohort that people are watching mostly are 24 to 35-year-olds. So which life struggles or stages will you dive into this year?
Oh, the challenges that they experience for sure. Like there's a lot from pressure to get married for the ones who are within that age cohort and they are not yet married, to pressure to conceive if you're and actually it affects both. I was about to say if you're a woman, but it actually affects both. Pressure to keep up with the journey says, hey, the digital space is doing the thing, like unaona tu beshte yako huko Facebook venye ana thrive, social media venye ana thrive, and you're like, my God, where did I go wrong? And one of the key challenge that I hear a lot from the 24 to 35-year-olds is the aspect of, like we are coming from the 844 system. I know right now we have CBC, but for us, 844 system whereby we were taught the right way to do things. There was always the right and the wrong way to do things. And then life comes and shows you things, shows you paper. So like we are taught when you pass your exams, you just need to pass your exams and you will get into a nice career and you will have money. And then you go to university, do those nice careers. In our times, say najua tunaonekana kama dinosaur to some point, but it's fine. And we are millennials and the zillennials, right? So at the end of the day, looking at these struggles, you're realizing that life is not what you envisioned it to be. You thought you will grow up, pass your exams, get into the top 4 biggest careers or career spaces like being a doctor, engineer, pilot, lawyer. You get into that profession. You feel like once you're done, you're going to get a very good job and very good income and become wealthy and you live happily ever after. And then you finish the 844 system and this life shows you people. You come, you don't have a job, you're always stomaching, and you're even questioning whether it was worth it. And the Gen Zs are really challenging us in terms of, how they are navigating life as all that. So we are two different cohorts, because we also in this space we also have Gen Zs who watch this podcast, and the struggle is also the same. Like, how do they keep up with the millennials who are in the corporate space? They are taught to think in a particular way. For Gen Zs, they have innovative ways, but they feel like no one is giving them that platform to be able to, showcase or come up with an innovative way of, making life fun, making work fun, but at the same time earning from it. So these are some of the challenges that we are looking to delve deeper. Yes.
Without revealing specifics, what kind of guest stories or case studies will be featured?
Oh my Lord. I don't know. I don't think I can. Okay, let me try. So one of the I won't mention the guest, but we're going to learn also about young people who are living with HIV and their struggles around mental health. So that we get to understand actually there is life beyond. Yeah. Whatever you've been diagnosed with it, you should not allow it to define your life. You can still live. So long as, especially in the context of people living with HIV, you can still thrive, At the end of the day, you just need to adhere to taking your ARVs or antiretroviral, Take them very diligently. And at the end of the day, you're going to just live life the same way as anyone who is HIV negative. So that is one of the casing points that you are going to look into in this particular podcast.
You're watching Unpack Podcast.
How will this year's episode help listeners restore, transform, and heal in practical ways?
Ooh, that's our song. You're watching my Password Podcast, where families get restored, transformed, and healed. From those three words, I believe as you watch the podcast, as a parent, as a young person, you're going to get restoration. Like if you're struggling with the family dynamics, as I had mentioned earlier, you're belonging to a family and you feel like these people are not really your family because of how they are treating you or because of the challenges that you've experienced around that. And that's what I'm referring to as family dynamics. So I hope and pray that you're going to experience restoration. I hope and pray that you're going to experience transformation through the guests who are going to come in the different episodes. You're going to be challenged. Transformation comes from the Bible, the book of Romans chapter 12, verse 1 and 2. That's like my favorite scripture. Present your bodies as living sacrifice, holy and acceptable, which is the art of worship. Then it says, do not compromise to the standards of this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. So through this podcast, we're going to give you nuggets that are going to challenge you, that are going to replenish you, that are going to make you become better if you choose to carry along the pointers that you've been able to give them. And share even on the comment section below whether they are working for you. Do you need more pointers? And we are more than willing to support you. So that's the bit about transformation. Getting also to hear from other people's experiences and really realizing that everyone actually goes through the hassles and bustles of life, but then resilience, which is the ability to bounce back. How are you able to apply that? So lastly, it's we've said restoration, where you're restored, transformed, and healed. May you experience healing. Because I know even as we touch on trauma, as we touch on some of the mental health struggles you could be going through, if it is drugs and substance use, if you're struggling with alcoholism, you could be going through that. So at the end of the day, are you able to experience healing as you watch? And also, healing also comes with you being able to seek support, further specialized support, whereby we will have our number, and let me just share it. Our number is 0745 50 6656. I'll repeat again, 0745 50 6656. If you're going through a struggle and you don't know how to navigate, reach out to us through that line so that we can support you, for you to be able to navigate and gain that experience healing in your life.
How can listeners get the most out of the upcoming episodes?
Oh, I believe you're going to get the most. But also, this year, I will really want to hear from the listeners. Like, how is your experience like? Do you feel like we need to delve deeper into a particular topic that maybe we will handle in the course of the year? Feel free to chat with us on our social media platform, on TikTok at Mind Pursuit Podcast, on IG or Instagram at Mind Pursuit Podcast. Feel free to DM us so that we can be able to see how to ensure that we accommodate your requests and needs, because that is how we are going to meet your needs. We want to understand what are your needs, what are your expectations, and how are we able to come in to support you. So in as much as we have our plan in terms of ensuring it's interactive, ensuring we break down mental health jargons to make it easier for you to understand. So at the end of the day, we also want to hear from you. What else would you want to learn from us?
What mindset or habit should listeners adopt to engage fully with this year's content?
Ooh, open mind. I really encourage us to have an open mind as we watch the Mind Pursuit podcast, because that is how growth happens. When you're open to learn from other people's experiences, when you're open to hear case studies and how people have been able to navigate and see how it applies to your life, when you're able to take in the nuggets that we share and try to implement in your life, and as you implement, please feel free to also share with us whether it was impactful or whether it did not work for you. Both feedback is acceptable.
How will staying tuned to the podcast help listeners grow spiritually, emotionally, and mentally this year?
Yeah. Spiritually, we are talking about Jesus all the time. Even with my guests, you will hear, because as we believe, God is the center of everything that we do. And the other thing, as the mind advocate, I believe, is Jesus is the perfect counselor. We are actually learning from him. The Bible calls him the wonderful counselor. So I believe that people are going to learn a lot in terms of spiritual and grow in terms of spirituality through the Jesus whisper moments. In terms of their mental and emotional well-being, I believe with emotional well-being, as you hear other people and how they are able to be resilient, I believe it's going to really help you to even navigate better and not even give up. I believe in you. I'm vouching for you. So we are not quitting. And that is one thing that we are going to learn in terms of mental well-being. Like, we'll give you hooks that will challenge you to help you not to give up.
You're watching Mind Pursuit Podcast.
Thank you for watching the Mind Pursuit podcast. Remember to subscribe, tell a friend to tell a friend, and I will see you on the next one. Bye-bye.